Hey there, this is Paul with Blackwater Honey Forge, and I wanted to talk to you today about a somewhat controversial topic, and that's used beekeeping equipment. Should you get it? And if you do, what are the risks that are involved, and how do we minimize those risks? Now, I'm going to show you what I do. I do have to preface this with a disclaimer that's saying this is in no way guaranteed. This is just what I do to minimize the risk and what's involved with used beekeeping equipment. Now, in a perfect world, we all have unlimited funds and we can just purchase everything new and we never have to worry about this. But if you've been beekeeping for any length of time, whether you're a beginner or you're a seasoned pro or somewhere in between, you know that beekeeping's not cheap. And sometimes it's nice to be able to shave a little bit of dollars off of some of our purchases. Or, even better yet, if the case is right, if the situation's right, to get some equipment for free, such as these two boxes and all of these frames. Now, used beekeeping equipment. Why you may want to avoid it. Well, you have to ask questions first. If you're going to be taking in some used equipment, ask some questions. Where was it stored? How old is it? Have you ever had any diseases to your knowledge in your bee yard, in your apiary? Was any of the equipment ever exposed to, I mean, terrible things like American foul brood? If there's yeses to those questions, you might be better off avoiding it. However, if the equipment looks like it's in decent shape, then there's some things that we can do in order to sanitize the equipment to help us out. So, for a moment, I want you to imagine that this wooden frame with the plastic insert is full of old brood comb. Now, I don't have any examples with that to show you because a couple of years ago, I bought off of a retired beekeeper about 300 of these frames, if not more, that had a lot of old brood comb on it. And now the good thing about these is these inserts are pretty cheap. So what I did with all of these, if it wasn't clean and good looking, actually I think for all of them what I did was this. And I threw all of these right away. They all went in the garbage. Now, they were, like I said, they had different levels of drawn comb on them, but the comb had been old. It had been sitting around in a shed. And one of the things you need to consider when you're looking into these things is, have they been exposed to animals, to urine or fecal matter? And those are risks you don't necessarily want to run. My hose just went all over the place for the second part of this demonstration. Excuse me a moment. So one of the things you need to consider is in storage, what are some of these things that these boxes or frames might have been exposed to, even if they've never had any diseases, in the hives, things like bird waste, mouse nests, all those things you need to consider because those all have potential pathogens that just aren't good for us or the bees. So in the case of something like these wooden frames, it's really easy just to take out the insert and now we can worry about sanitizing this. And in the other case of plastic frames, now this is one of mine, but again, please imagine that this is even older comb than it is. This comb's in decent shape, the other side has none. But imagine this is all super old, really black, caked with cobwebs. We're unsure if it's been really exposed to those critters that I was just talking about, or with the plastic frames, is it warped? Is it damaged at all due to heat, things like that? There's a general rule of thumb for any of this equipment. When in doubt, throw it out. We're here to minimize risk. We're not here to take exceptional risks. So if there's any doubt in your mind, throw it out, take the hit, buy some new gear. But if it's in decent shape like this, feel free to consider using it. Now with the plastic frames, it's a little different. The plastic frames, even with that amount of comb on it, I might necessarily not want to use something like that. The free frames that I got over here, most of these frames are just dusty. They're dirty. It looks like they got dirt on them for some reason, like they were just, I don't know, thrown in the dirt or stored somewhere that had a lot of dust. Now, with the excess dust, a good brush, we can brush those off, get a lot of the dust off of there and everything else. And there's a second step here that I want to talk about as far as these frames. Now, There's a whole group of frames in here. Like I said, these are the ones that are all just really dusty. They don't even have any comb on them. I did get a lot more frames than this when I picked up this equipment from someone. Some of them are warped. Some of them had a lot of old comb on it. Those went right in the garbage. But let's get to the meat of the matter. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is move the camera a little bit, and I'm going to show you putting these into a bleach bath. So I'm going to go ahead and take that entire box with the frames right in it, because this does not hurt the woodenware in any way. I'm going to go ahead and put them right here in this bleach solution, which when I do this, this is about a 30-to-1 ratio. Looks like I'm going to need another brick here. This is about a 30-to-1 ratio, so I have about 30 gallons of water and a gallon of bleach. And I just go ahead and I let all of those frames, or any of the woodenware that I'm doing, soak in there for at least 20 minutes. If it goes for longer, it's not going to hurt it either. Any of the old wooden frames as well, those would normally go right in there too. I like to try to weight that stuff down so that it's fully submerged, or if it's not, I go ahead and I turn it around after a while as well. I make sure every section, every surface of this is covered with the bleach solution. Just standard household bleach. Like I said, I do about 1 gallon to 30. Let me save this spider. They're not having a good day. Now, I'll just move the camera back over. And we're going to talk about how to clean up your woodenware. Now this box, pretty clean inside. There's not burr comb. It doesn't even look like it was ever really used as a hive. I think these hives were a very unsuccessful attempt at beekeeping. But even so, if there was some old wax, if we needed to clean up the frame rails, that's when we'd go ahead and we'd scrape all that stuff off ahead of time. And that's where these guys come in. So the torch here, especially if you have old propolis or old wax in there, you heat up that old wax a little bit first, and it's so much easier to scrape off. But let's move the camera even closer so I can show you what's going to be going on next with this box. Now, with the woodenware, what you're going to want to do, in case there is any sort of organisms at all on this, the easiest way to do this is purified by fire, is really how you're looking at it. You're going to char all of this wood. You don't have to burn it down to ash, but you're going to want to char all this wood. And this is one of the ways to do that. But as you can see, these are also wax coated, and that's okay. You don't necessarily need to char the wood, but as we're heating this up and exposing everything to the flame, this is also sanitizing the woodenware. Definitely have to be careful with the waxed boxes because the wax might want to catch fire as well. But you can see we're going ahead and we're just browning the wood. Now, as you can also tell, this takes a while. So let me show you my actual preferred method. So this right here is my actual preferred method, is the rosebud on the propane tank. Whether you're doing only a few boxes like I'm going to be doing or a bunch, this makes it a lot more efficient. But you also have to be careful as well because this is going to burn at about 1800 degrees and it's pretty easy to catch things on fire with it. So if you're going to do this, be extra careful. By the way, these, I think I bought this at Harbor Freight for maybe 25, 30 bucks. But go ahead and turn that on, start it up. And then as you can see, when you pull the trigger, it puts out some serious heat. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to char the box up with this. Now, as you can tell, it makes really short work of it. I also wouldn't recommend doing what I'm doing right now and putting it on some grass in the driveway because this is going to burn anything that's in its path. Quick work, right? And then, take a look at this box. See how that's all nice and brown everywhere, all inside? Purified by fire. Now, So now with the other woodenware that I have soaking up, I'm definitely going to do the same thing as well with the rosebud and char that all up. But since I have it soaking in a bleach solution, I'm just going to, after it's done doing that, I'm just going to also have to make sure that the equipment is dry as well. Now, I don't char these. These will burn right up. They'll catch fire a lot easier than the boxes do as well. But you can clean them up if you want. See how that's got a little bit of old propolis, old wax on it as well. You can definitely use the smaller torch and clean that up some. But long and short of it, not to overtalk, a 30-to-1 bleach solution, a long soak, at least 20 minutes. Make sure there's full coverage in all the equipment. And then for your woodenware, char the inside, whether you're doing it with a small torch, which will take a while, or the larger rosebud, which will make really quick work of it. Use proper safety precautions. I may not have demonstrated the best way to do everything. That's how I'm doing it. Please be smarter, please be safer, be well, forge on, and good luck.